Another week of D&D, another campaign diary. Let's dive right in. Hey everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent. This is my campaign diary. For those of you who might be new or this is the first time you've checked it out, I do weekly or bi-monthly game recaps of my tabletop D&D sessions with my group. This is a way for me to kind of grow as a dungeon master because I kind of look back at the past game and analyze what I did right or what I didn't do right. And just kind of, I don't know, I'm just kind of growing, and I hope you guys glean some information out of it as well. So when we last left our players, they were staring down a well. They had met a female human named Kamalla. And Kamalla said that she had some information on this old ancient ruins that's got a lot of treasure. And she's leading the party, kind of egging them on to go into this, to help her get the treasure out of this place. She swears that there's more than enough treasure for everybody, and so we should all just be happy and work together. They get to a well, and at the bottom of the well, they did some perception checks, and they could see that there's gold and gems at the bottom of this well. So it was kind of this weird mini game where they were trying to figure out how to get down a well. Ultimately, they tied a rope to somebody, and they thought they would like rappel down the well while the rest of them held it. And because the rest of them were holding it, I had them do some strength checks at advantage because everyone was helping them and slowly lowering them to the ground. Aramith got down fine, but Valar, the fighter, he got about halfway, and they botched their strength rolls, so he fell down the rest of the well and took some damage. At the bottom of the well, I think they were expecting a fight, and in all hindsight, I probably should have put a fight there, but I didn't really think about it. And the module that I took this from, City of Bones, has a fight not in the well, but around the well, and I messed that up. I should have had a fight there. To rectify that, I moved the fight to the basement, so in them continuing to explore, they would have discovered, or they'll run into this fight. So they got to the bottom of the well, they found a bunch of gems and stuff. They also found a shaving razor. They did some arcana checks, and that was a magical shaving razor. They're not sure what magic it has yet, but the entire team kind of decided not to tell Kamalla about it. So Valar pocketed that, and he's telling nobody that he has this magical shaving razor. So, and then they headed downstairs. Now, downstairs, I drew the map here, and you can kind of see it. I overdrew this. I was copying what was out of the map that was in the book provided, or the map that was in the adventure, and it was way too big. Like, I really should have copied just a small section of this for the fight, and maybe save some time, or maybe just draw the rooms that had the fight in them, kind of like what I did with White Plume Mountain. I wouldn't draw all of it, but I would draw like, okay, I know there's going to be an encounter here, so I'll draw that one, and then lower on my battle map, I would draw the other one so that I'd have them prepped, because I like having these rooms prepped beforehand so we can just kind of dive in and start fighting, rather than like, okay, now Jordan has to awkwardly hover over you while he draws out this map. They came downstairs, and now downstairs was riddled with vines. There were like old, decrepit vines that were just kind of covering the entire floor. And as they approached these vines, they sprang up and came to life. And there was one Vine Lord, and his name is Vine Lord. He's in the Tome of Beasts. You can probably see a cool picture of him here. The Vine Lord, and then I had two tendril puppets. And so these I described as being like dehydrated corpses that had vines coming out of their eyes and mouths and were wrapping around their body and basically like reanimating a corpse, but really it's just these vines that are kind of controlling it. So there were two of those, and there was the Vine Lord. And then to spice things up, I wanted to add some extra things. So I added just balls of vines. These vines represented what could happen. So the tendril puppets are the end result, and these balls of vines are the beginning of it. So the balls of vines are going to try and grab onto our players, and they're going to have to make dexterity or constitution checks, I wasn't really sure which one I was going to do, to eventually be turned into a tendril puppet. I thought this would be a really cool fight, and I was going to have these vine balls attach onto my party and reduce their speed. So eventually it would have their speed, and then if they failed another dexterity check, it would reduce their speed to 0, limiting their mobility, and thus my other guys could do a bunch of damage. That is not how this fight worked out at all. They quickly surmised that they would probably be weak to fire, and so Valar took out his sword, which can basically cast burning hands once per day. and he cast Burning Hands with his sword. It did about 30 damage to the main guy, and it took out a tendril puppet in one hit. So then all they really had to do was fight the other tendril puppet. They had both of those pretty much under control by the time that my rolling ball of vines had gotten to them. So positioning on my part was bad for this fight. I really should have put the ball vines at the beginning and had the tendril puppets farther back so that they could like move forward. But live and learn. My players had a lot of fun with it though. When they mopped up that fight, they started exploring the ruins around. There was a room with the skeleton of a genie. And my the cleric Rayella, she decided to cast Speak with the Dead on it. And they asked him some interesting questions. They got 5 questions, and they asked him, like, how did he die? And where is he from? And are there any magical things in these ruins that they should know about? Like, they wanted to know where the treasure was. And I played this incorrectly too. And even at the table, I was like, I don't think he would actually know this, but he's going to point to Valar when you ask about magical objects. And everyone was like, oh my God, did Kamalla see that? And I was like, Kamalla saw that, and Camilla's choosing not to react to it. So they thought that was kind of peculiar. The mouse paladin, Jessica, the mouse paladin, she walked around and found some rubble, and there was something like a glint of gold or metal underneath the rubble. She decided to clear it away, but we made for a dexterity check, and she failed that. So the rubble kind of fell down on top of her, and she took some damage. But she came out with a +1 dagger. Now, she doesn't really need a +1 dagger because she has a +1 axe, and she's probably always going to use her axe. But it was more of a flavorful piece of stuff. They found out that the skeleton was a genie. They're in a weird desert. They found this dagger that's like shaped all curved, like it's a big curved blade. So they're finding little hints that they're not in medieval Sword Coast anymore, that they are in a different part of the Forgotten Realms and a very foreign part of the Forgotten Realms. And who knows, maybe this dagger will come into play. After that, they took a short rest, which I forgot to roll on the random encounter table to see if they got a random encounter. But they took a nice short rest and they healed up, and then they continued to explore. Meanwhile, I did a secret roll for Rayella because she was being really aggressive towards Kamalla, the lady NPC. I didn't want Kamalla to be like found out, or I feel like this is what Kamalla would do. So Kamalla cast Charm on Rayella, and I rolled for her, and the charm was successful. So I sent a text message to my player, and I said, hey, Kamalla charmed you. You think she's the bee's knees now. And so with that, Rayella really... like the player really took that to heart and was just like best friends with Kamalla after that. And I was like, this is awesome. So I have Aramith, who is in love with Kamalla. I didn't have to cast charm on him. And now I have the cleric, Rayella, who also loves Kamalla. So Kamalla is now palling around with those two people primarily. They leave and go explore more of the area. And they come to a room that's got a bunch of like runes on the walls that have been covered up with like mud and stucco and plaster and things like that. So there's runes on behind these things, but they're being covered up. And in the floor is a summoning circle. Well, Kamalla says she really thinks that we need to like read these runes and see what's going on. Another part of her tactic employs to she wants to like wear down the party, which during the vine fight, she did not help at all because it's to wear down the party. And they noticed that, and they were kind of curious about that and thinking she's not all she appears to be. But Rayella, being under the charm, thinks this is an awesome idea. So she starts tearing away at the plaster to get to the runes and read them. She's reading them out loud, and Aramith is helping. But the monk Scry did not like this at all, and he used one of his key points to cast the spell Silence on Rayella. And Rayella couldn't dispel it because that's a verbal component to cast Dispel. So the summoning ritual was halted thanks to Brother Scry. They then kind of pushed Kamalla into the corner and were interrogating her. And this is where her true colors came out. So Kamalla is a were-jackal, and her whole goal is to take people and kind of lure them into these ruins, wear down their defenses, or separate the party so that she can take them out one by one. And that's what she does. She like is a scavenger out here in the desert. So her hair isn't really her hair. It's like the snout of the jackal. And when they had her pressed up against the wall, her head kind of turns and this like jackal face comes out the other side. And that's where we ended. So we're going to pick up in 2 weeks where Kamalla is turning into a jackal and she's going to fight these guys. And I'm really happy that we stopped right there because I did not have this planned. I thought Kamalla would last longer than this, so I didn't have this fight planned. But going through Tome of Beasts again, I'm going to use a were-tiger from the monster manual for Kamalla, and then to make it a difficult fight and to like back Kamalla up, she's going to have some magical things. She's going to have a wand of lightning, I think, and she's going to have some other sneaky things that will basically summon creatures. She's not going to like magically summon them, but I don't want to give it away because I think my players watched this video. So tune in next week when we find out the secrets that Kamalla has and the big fight. And that's it, everybody. Again, these campaign diaries are me to kind of figure out my DMing, and hopefully you guys enjoy them. So thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button. Share it with other DMs if you think that Dungeon Masters might find this interesting, because that's always awesome and it helps out the channel. I'll see you all in the next video, which will probably be in about 2 weeks. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.